It's unfortunate that we have not come up with clear evidence linking them to these Pakis. But I think one is hopeful that one will be able to, because apparently they are trapped in the region. They have not been able to go back. And if at all one gets them, I mean, there'll be clear proof of the Pakistani involvement. So in that respect, I would say Sindoor was a very successful operation because it's bombed the hell out of their headquarters, Bahawalpur, and first time in the heartland of Punjab. So, and not only what it did physically, but it gave a tremendous message to the entire world that India also, like America and Israel, can go and hit the places from where the terrorism is being directed. It's unfortunate that we stopped on that particular day, that we agreed to the ceasefire, because here was a time which you asked, did it complete the mission? Yes, I wish we had carried on for a day more. We should have bombed the hell out of Quetta. We should have their military base. We should have bombed the hell out of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa military base, because once they attacked us in these military bases, there was no reason why we should have left them, because after all, it was a war. Does this sort of deter this terrorist, sponsoring state to withdraw from any such activities or not doing it again? I'm not too sure about that, because knowing their capability of this asymmetric warfare, which is this easiest thing to do, training a few people here and there, giving them the money, giving their families about 30-40 lakhs. And Mullah Manir became a field marshal because he has kept Imran Khan in jail. Because for Shahbaz to do bootlicking with Munir, not to throw him, and for that it's extremely important to keep Imran in jail. Though the Americans are very, very upset, and there are talks going on already to ensure that Imran gets released. So we had a field marshal called Manik Shah, who fought on two fronts, won the wars, and liberated Bangladesh. And we have a field marshal, or a failed marshal, whatever you call him, who talks about two-nation theory, which has already been busted in 1971 by, there was another, Muslim nation which was created.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. It's 1 month of Pahalgam terror attack today, where 26 innocent civilians were massacred by the dreaded terrorists. Investigative agencies still have no clue about the perpetrators, and the hunt is still on. There have been many questions on the strategic and the diplomatic management. What has been the scale of success of Operation Sindoor? What are the kind of losses which India has suffered? What will be the impact of the multi-party delegation which has gone to various countries? And does this 1 month period make PM Modi look stronger? And the last and the most significant question, has Kashmir really returned to normalcy? So we'll try and find out answers to all these questions. Joining me this evening is a very special guest, former IPS officer, intelligence and law officer, security expert. Mr. Yashovardhan Azad joins us. So thank you so much for joining, and especially on a subject like this. Your insights would really be very, very significant on a day when Pahalgam terror attack completes 1 month. But there are many questions than the number of answers which one has got. How would you look at this period of 1 month in terms of investigation? And I would like to begin with the investigation bit, because it looks like a complete failure. Today, Mr. S. Jaishankar, the foreign minister, was seen giving an interview to a Netherlands channel where he said that he was asked this particular question, that have you been able to get a breakthrough. So he said, yes, we've been able to identify the perpetrators. Now, if after 1 month, this is the first statement coming from the foreign minister where he says that we've been able to identify. So if they were able to identify, then why not share the details with the opposition, with the people of the country?
Well, yes, one expected that in a month's time we would have demonstrative evidence about these Pakistanis. Definitely, right from the beginning, we knew that there were these two Pakistanis, and their identification was done. And there are, of course, there is a clutch of evidence, which may be electronic, which may be some other things. But unfortunately, in this case, the investigation is a little different from the others because this is virtually in a zone where the regular battles which are taking place between especially in the context of this, what has happened just now, and therefore you would have seen that whether it's Shopian or whether it's Kishtwar today. There are battles going on, and in these battles, we are able to locate these terrorists or find out about their past as to how many terrorist incidents they were involved in. So, yes, you see, the other second problem with this case is that these were very, very hardened, soldiers who had come across from Pakistan. And they had come with overground support, and they had come with tremendous planning. And therefore, they actually melted away virtually, as you can say, into the forests. And they have not been tracked yet. So, yes, that way I'll agree with you that it's unfortunate that we have not come up with clear evidence linking them to these Pakis. But I think one is hopeful that one will be able to, because apparently they are trapped in the region. They have not been able to go back. And if at all one gets them, I mean, there'll be clear proof of the Pakistani involvement.
But the very fact that it took 1 month for the foreign minister to say that they've been able to identify. Now, identifying means what? Have they been able to just make sketches and identify who roughly those people would be? Or have they really zeroed down on the people and probably they don't want to share it at this point of time? How does one look at it? Because it looks like a very vague statement coming from him. And also another question as to why it took so much of time, and they're not there. They still don't know where the terrorists are.
Well, as I told you, both are true, what Jaishankar said. One is, of course, that many of the things the NIA wouldn't like to share right now because of the entire range of evidence which they are preparing, fearing that it may get compromised. And the second is also that whatever they have is very little. I mean, very little to be projected. That's what I mean. There could be other things which they have, which they don't want to share right now. But within a month, getting nothing demonstrable is definitely unfortunate.
But would you call this a major security failure? Security failure as in it can be a collective failure of the Home Ministry, the Defense Ministry, the National Security Advisor. How would you look at it?
Well, to call it a failure would be a very strong phraseology. I understand that what happened in Baisaran, in Pahalgam, can definitely be counted as a security failure, as an intelligence failure. But in the investigation, I think such investigations do take time. And especially this is a very difficult terrain, where we are operating. This is not even a normal area where an IA can just go anywhere and, ferret out evidence and, collect it from statements and witnesses of various people. After this war and the sensitive period which we are going through, everyone is on a, battle alert, as it were. And therefore, the investigations, of course, did slow down when you are having shells firing both sides. And when you have a very tense face-off, the investigation did suffer. I think now the investigations will pick up pace. And, NIA has the best team. So I would still not say it's failure. It's just that it's difficult to kind of, go further because a number of things. You have to take evidence, lot of people, you have to track down so many things, overground workers, villagers, where are the places they stop, what they did, leads. So that is what is taking time, and it will take some time, I guess.
I want to talk to you about the Operation Sindoor as well. Now, would you say that Operation Sindoor has been a successful operation? I mean, the aims and the objectives with which that operation was mounted, did it actually achieve its purpose? Because it was said that, yes, our 26 innocent people were killed. We were to avenge those killings, and which is why the Operation Sindoor was mounted. But have we been able to avenge Pahalgam?
See, when we talk about the Pak terrorists operating here, we're basically talking about JEM and the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and there, of course, there are a few. They might be calling themselves TRF here, or JEM also has some other organization by the name in Kashmir. So in that respect, I would say Sindoor was a very successful operation because it's bombed the hell out of their headquarters, Bahawalpur, and first time in the heartland of Punjab. So, and not only what it did physically, but it gave a tremendous message to the entire world that India also, like America and Israel, can go and hit the places from where the terrorism is being directed. So yes, and also if you look at the kills, unfortunate term to be used, but then, however, they're also terrorists. Abdul Rauf was the brother of JEM chief, that mullah murderer. He was killed, and there was another one who was also killed, and there were also 30-40 terrorists who were killed in this operation. So in that respect, I would say that Sindoor was really successful, and those 9 sites which were hit on that particular day was a clear win for India. Later on, of course, there was a lot of crossfire, the battles in the skies, air defense systems. And in that also we emerged successful, because for the first time, you will see that the international warfare analysts, air warfare analysts, and those specialists, whether it's Vance, whether it's, other people from Austria, they are saying that the hits which the severe hits, in fact, which India gave to them, whether it's Noor Khan, whether it's Sargodha, actually damaged the air bases. So because Pakistan did not stay quiet after these hits and tried the military sites, we really gained an advantage. And in that respect, I would say Sindoor was a successful operation.
Where do you think were the loopholes as far as the operation is concerned? Because a lot of it is being said about the fact that our aircrafts were down, though there is no official confirmation how many Rafales were down or how many fighter jets were down. But yes, there have been unconfirmed reports, and a lot is being written across the international media as to how many Rafales and the number of fighter jets which were down. So what would you really say? And also, there is no clarity on the casualties on our side, whether it is the military infrastructure or whether it is in terms of the human loss of lives.
See, 2 things. One is the kind of evidence we gave of the damage on their sites was very clear. In fact, now from Maxar Technology, it was clearly visible even in New York Times and Washington Post. Even they have agreed now, giving a different heading that the war was even, but they have given what clear damage India inflicted. Whereas there has been no picture or damage inflicted on the India sides, which was given by Maxar Technology. After all, it's a firm based in America, and it would clearly give. So in that respect, I really don't think anything of we have to doubt anything. The second thing is, yes, there might have been combat losses. But what they said about our pilot being there is no longer true. The other thing is, suppose one Rafale, which they are talking about, is being hit. But the wreckage they are referring to is not that of Rafale, which they have shown in Punjab. And I remember Air Marshal Bharti clearly saying that all our pilots are safe back home. So suppose there is a loss of Rafale, well, there'll be combat losses. And I don't think it's a big deal. Yes, it's for the international airfare, air warfare analysts to judge, whether that means there is something with the Rafale system, and whether it is better than the stealth one which the Americans have or the Chinese. That is a technical discussion. But in this respect, I think India was a winner. In fact, a third point, Neelu, which I wanted to bring is that it was a little unfortunate that we stopped on that particular day, that we agreed to the ceasefire. Because here was a time which you asked, did it complete the mission? Yes, I wish we had carried on for a day more. We should have bombed the hell out of Quetta. We should have their military base. We should have bombed the hell out of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa military base, because once they attacked us in these military bases, there was no reason why we should have left them. Because after all, it was a war with missiles, Calp missiles, and Brahmo missiles, and they're trying their also the best of the equipment. In that respect, I would say that once it boils down to that, then the last question is what you are alluding to is that will it be a deterrence, Operation Sindoor? Because that is ultimately was the object, and we have said that any act of terror would be war. Does this sort of deter this terrorist, sponsoring state to withdraw from any such activities or not doing it again? I'm not too sure about that, because knowing their capability of this asymmetric warfare, which is this easiest thing to do, training a few people here and there, giving them the money, giving their families about 30-40 lakhs, and putting them across the fucking line.
It's very clear from what you're saying that Operation Sindoor, of course, will never become a deterrence. But now I'm coming back to the question of the ceasefire, which you said, and that was my next point, which I was wanting to discuss with you, that the announcement of the ceasefire at the end of the third day, was it a big letdown for the security forces? And
yes, of course. Yes, of course. Security forces were really well primed. I mean, one of the finest actions. I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, I was myself totally blown over by the performance of the Air Force and the military, and even the Navy, which was just there near the Karachi harbor. Now, no matter how Pakistan tries to deflect all this, that's another thing. They might even buy over the international press. But the question is, we were so well primed on the third day that why we went in for a ceasefire did come as a disappointment. And I remember even the ex-chief VP Malik said that we should have carried on, pressed on our advantage, because, enough is enough. This time, even moderates like me turned totally hawks. And, for the first time, I realized there is no reason for any kind of a tie to have with Pakistan, because murdering 26 innocents cannot be tolerated.
No, so in that respect, in the middle of all this, here parachutes the American President Donald Trump, who says that I brokered the peace between India and Pakistan, and that too it had trade compulsions. Now, what kind of a dampener was that, according to you? Because you see security conditions very, very closely. If you had been in the position of the security forces, and on big television screens, you see Donald Trump saying that I brokered the peace between India and Pakistan because of trade compulsions, as a security officer, what would you feel?
Well, even the Americans say that Donald Trump comes up with a lot of statements. Now, which statement to listen to when is depends upon your sense of judgment. There is nothing like that. I mean, there was no talk about trade. I mean, I just look at it logically. I mean, why should India talk about trade at a time when it is, avenging its death of innocents?
Azad, apparently, in the last 11 days, he said and repeated the same thing 8 times. Today also, it's for the 8th time he said the same thing. Trade talks, peace deal, and I brokered it.
But nothing has happened in terms of trade and tariffs. In fact, he went ahead and did a deal with China. You see, the most important thing in all Indo-Pak wars after 1998 is that bogey of nuclear thing hanging. Kargil, same thing happened. Immediately they start, brokering peace and announce to the Western world there are two nuclear nations, who are there. And somehow the West does have a soft corner for Pakistan because it joined their war against the Soviets way back in 79. There's some kind of a soft corner. And that is the reason why every time this nuclear overhang is kind of a blackmail. And I'm very happy that India broke that, a blackmail this time. It is quite clear that after India hit the Noor Khan base and the Sargoda, the Pakistanis went to the Americans and said, this is what is happening. And if nothing happens, we'll do this. Their nuclear, you remember the American nuclear plane came immediately to test whether there are any leaks or not. And that's the time when they asked us that for the ceasefire, requested us, and we agreed. We agreed like the great Samaritan we are, always we do it. Last time also we were at Haji Bir Pass, we left them. This time we should have gone right over, I think.
Now I want to come to the question of Asim Munir, what he has told his people. And I'm just going to read out a few portions of what he has written out on the Twitter, which is X now. Mere Aziz Hum Watno, I write to you on the heels of winning yet another historical war against my favorite enemy, India. A war that made me crown myself as Pakistan's field marshal. And you all thought it was only martial laws that we men in uniform run after. I have only one person to thank for this great bookmark in my life. And no, that's not Allah, that's you, Narendra Modi. I really want your reaction on this, on what Asim Munir has said. He's thanking Narendra Modi, not Allah, for his promotion as the field marshal now.
Well, Mullah Munir became a field marshal because he has kept Imran Khan in jail. Because for Shahbaz to do bootlicking with Munir, not to throw him, and for that it's extremely important to keep Imran in jail. Though the Americans are very, very upset, and there are talks going on already to ensure that Imran gets released. So we had a field marshal called Manik Shah, who fought on two fronts, won the wars, and liberated Bangladesh. And we have a field marshal or a failed marshal, whatever you call him, who talks about two-nation theory, which has already been busted in 1971 by, there was another, Muslim nation which was created. And he's arrogating to himself a victory. I don't even know, what is the kind of the gullibility of Pakistani people if they accept this mullah's claims. It's amazing. And it's laughable how a field marshal rank is being virtually, joked with by giving a man like him who has never fought a single war to get a field marshal rank. That's my comment.
Right. And I'm just reading out a few portions again from that speech because that's very interesting and it gives an insight into what kind of a character is Asim Munir. He says it turns out in Pakistan, one can fail at any kind of war with India and yet win accolades. General Pervez Musharraf lost the 1999 Kargil war, yet became the president. General Ayub Khan was also the only other gem who lost the 1965 war to India as a field marshal. I guess he'd be proud of me today. 60 years on, I did press conferences for 4 days and became field marshal in the end. Quite unlike India, where a general has to win an actual war and create another country to become a field marshal. Poor Sam Manekshaw, he had to do so much work for nothing, really. It is for this reason I thank Allah for the two-nation theory. And then he says, as I write to you, I'm polishing my new medal. I had kept it safe in my shoebox so that I could pin it whenever I decided it was the right time. After 11 bases coming under missile and drone attack, the time was right for a new medal, a new title, and a salary bump. There has to be a cause for my bravery, and you, my nation, will pay it. Reports of me hiding in a bunker are greatly exaggerated, especially as India bombed the Noor Khan base. It is a smear campaign spread by India. How could I have hidden in a bunker when I was talking when I was taking some shut eye time, feel for your new field marshal, my nation. I'm 57 years old and I need my beauty sleep even during a war. I might be a few years younger than SRK, but I'm no Jawan. This is what he writes.
Can you
I
imagine?
really want your reaction to this. Yes.
I mean, he's a joker, really. He's reduced military warfare, chivalry of a general, courage, honor. He's reduced it to smithereens with this kind of a writing. He's joking on himself. He's a joker, absolutely. And I'm glad Pakistan has a general of this kind. We are absolutely safe, and we'll give them a beating every time.
Hmm. But also, I mean, the big talk which in our country also has happened, and I'm just not talking about Pakistan. That was just one bit I wanted to speak to you. But the big political posturing on the Indian side as well, and I'm talking in purely political terms. We've seen posters of Prime Minister Modi in those bulletproof jackets and wearing a helmet, and today we saw him in Bikaner thundering loud and saying that हमारा खून गर्म है, हमारे खून में, हमारे नसों में सिंदूर बहता है. This is what Prime Minister Modi had to say. Now, how does one react to these kind of statements coming from your Prime Minister? हमारे नसों में सिंदूर बहता है means vermilion is flowing in our veins. That's what the Prime Minister says.
Well, certain leaders have a certain style, like Trump or Modi. They like to, sort of make it very forceful. They like to little exaggerate. Everyone has his own choice. I mean, it's the style, it's your personality. I would certainly expect a prime minister to be a little subdued, to be a little more mature. We are a bigger nation. We don't have to prove anything to Pakistan. We've beaten the hell out of them. So let them, jump around and masquerade around. You have these mullah jokers and generals over there. And so I think we should keep it on a lower key. But then, it's politics. If it's not that the other parties also don't do politics. So, I can't say anything about it except that, yes, it should be at a more mature and a subdued level. But hell, in a political time, every one does his own politics. So what is there to comment?
Do you feel that the valor of our armed forces is being sold as a product by our political fraternity? This is what the opposition has been saying, and this is what is felt when you see and look at the posters which are being put up, the hoardings which are put up across cities in the country.
No, what happens is people also like to give accolades. When Indira Gandhi won Bangladesh, she was also called Durga, and no less than Vajpayee ji called her Durga. So Indians are very enthused about this victory right now. So they would not like to hear anything against the leader. And I don't blame them, because this was a 4-day war. And this war is definitely a lesson to Pakistan. And now how the politicians project it, and now opposition is again, why should even opposition bother about it? But suppose this has happened, I think all the political parties do it. So there's hardly anything worth commenting.
But at the end of 1 month, Mr. Azad, do you feel that our propaganda war was one notch maybe lower than what the Pakistan did? Pakistan's information warfare and their propaganda, it outdid India's propaganda, it seemed. Do you also feel the same?
First of all, it's not a propaganda. Kashmir is a live issue, and Kashmir somehow just cannot be understood by the Western nations. After all the evidence, after all the elections, after almost everything what could have been done in a particular year. Imagine in your own country where the majority community has been thrown out, 1 lakh Kashmiri Hindus having been thrown out of Kashmir. After all this happening, and yet, this bogus talk about Kashmir and, Afsapa, and it keeps on going and on and on and on. If you look at Kashmir, in every regime, there have been, these simmerings of, so-called discontent and, violence. It does not mean today, not even a single Kashmiri would like to go over to Pakistan. Not a single Kashmiri. Today, Kashmir is all about jobs. Kashmir is all about dissatisfaction on account of the economy, disaffection on account of shortages. So the whole issue is different. But so in that respect, somehow Pakistan being a smaller nation, being a kind of the softness which they have, their propaganda might be better. It really doesn't matter, because New York Times, even when they gave a different heading, inside they actually gave the successes of India against Pakistan. So this is something, a deep-rooted bias. For example, the BBC says that, militants and gunmen, and does not say terrorists. What do you talk? What do you say? The CNN says from Washington, sources say that, Pakistan has done very well. What is the value of this kind of a report? It doesn't mean anything. There is another CNN reporter who talks from Bhavalpur that people are very upset because this mosque or madrasa has been hit. She doesn't even know that that is the headquarters of JEM at Bhavalpur. So this is very difficult to counter. Yes, we should do better. And I think this policy of sending all party delegations to many countries is a good idea.
One last question, what happens when in a war both sides claim victory? And in times of social media, you have a Pakistan which is claiming victory, you have India also which is claiming victory. Who's the actual winner in your eyes? Has India emerged victorious?
India has definitely emerged victorious, and because of the international observers who are the warfare specialists, based in Austria, based in London, based in America, Spencer or other people. They are the ones who are saying about clear demonstrative evidence, which they talk about. For example, the damage done to the hangars, the bases, the command centers, and things like that. So in that respect is there. Of course, in every country, there'll be these war cries and war victories slogans, because nobody would like to be defeated. But in this particular case, I think there is a clear victory of the Indians.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, for joining on HW. Thank you.